Good evening, everyone. Let's call this meeting to order at 5:32 on April the 8th. Miss Dottie, would you please conduct a roll call attendance so that we can ascertain a quorum, please?
Yes, sir. Chair Patrick Molina,
Here.
Vice Chair Martha Barrera,
Here.
Member Heather Anderson,
Here.
Member Aaron Hamilton,
Absent.
and Secretary Dottie McKinney.
We have ourselves a quorum. Good evening and welcome, everyone. Let's begin the evening as we customarily do with the Pledge of Allegiance. Miss Karen, if you wouldn't mind putting the stars and stripes up. Here it comes. All right, there it is. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Very good. Item number 2 on our agenda this evening is public comment regarding anything on this evening's agenda. We have some attendees. I know we have at least one public here. That would be Jenny Hathaway. If there's any comment, please raise your hand. Lisa Black has her hand raised.
So, Ms. Black, I will promote you to the panel to make your comment, but while I'm doing that, if anyone else is here to make a public comment, please either raise your digital hand or put your name in the chat. This would be about items on the agenda. And Ms. Black, you're promoted to the panel. You can unmute yourself. You could also turn on your video if you'd like. And you have 2 minutes to make your comment. Is it 2?
Okay,
Yes.
well, sorry for the screensaver there. My name is Lisa Black, and I'm a parent of a 9th grader at Explorer Academy, Albuquerque. If you need any more information on that, you can let me know. I am actually here because it's been on my mind for a number of months, this topic, and it's about the gym delay. And I'm going to read a little bit just to make sure my thoughts are conveyed to you succinctly and in less than 2 minutes. So about the gym delay, I actually am not as concerned about the length of the delay, but I'm really concerned about having a safe gym going forward. My kid is going to be going there for another 3 years. We love the school and all that it's given our kid, but the gym roof collapse really shook us up. I've been waiting, I feel like, a long time to hear about it, and we haven't heard a lot about it in the last few months at all. All right, so that leads me to a follow-up question. Is the school intending to use the same builder team, general contractor, engineer, architect, or roof subcontractors who designed and built the prior failed roof? I hope not, and that's why I want to make my opinion or plead my case today, because there's only a few reasons why a new roof would collapse. We know it wasn't an act of God, so we can eliminate that. It was either manufacturing defect in those metal beams or something like that, a design defect, a negligence in the putting it together. What I understand, and I know this isn't a lawsuit, but and I know insurance companies are fighting. The law firm above here is a construction defect law firm in California, so I'm familiar with these things. But as a parent, I want to make sure that we are not using the same team unless they are able to give excellent evidence why it was not their fault, right? If they are, and I have an understanding, although it may not be right, that AIC or whatever it was that did the design and or the build, that they were the design build team and that they haven't come up with the reason why this happened. And I understand it's because they don't want to admit liability or their insurer doesn't want them to, but that's not acceptable when it comes to our teachers or our kids or our staff safety. So I would just ask that, please, let's find another builder design, another team to do the design and to do the
I'm
build, to do the roof subcontract.
Time is up. And I appreciate your comments, Ms. Black. I just want to speak on behalf of the board. I'm not on the board, I'm the board liaison. But as you know, they are not allowed to respond to your questions today, but I'm sure that we can provide some information as follow-up.
Yep.
But I appreciate you being here to provide the comments.
Thank you for listening.
Absolutely. And later on, there is an agenda item that talks about the gym. So if you hang around, maybe we'll get some of those questions answered. But thank you very much. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your service to our school. All right.
So I'll
Thank you.
put you back in cyberspace, Ms. Black.
All right. I don't see any other
I don't-
hands up in our participants gallery. So last
Yeah,
call
no.
for public comment before we move on to the approval of the agenda we have started to follow. All right. I'm going to take no hands up as we can move along. Thank you so much, Ms. Black. We really appreciate you coming. That's great. Item number 3 is the approval of the current agenda. I move to approve the agenda for this meeting, April 8th, 2025. A second, please.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion with regards to the agenda, folks? I was telling Karen before everybody rang on, this is a very nice little agenda. So I'm kind of excited about that. This is refreshing. So any other comment before we go to a vote? Very good. Miss Dottie, would you please conduct a roll call vote to approve our current agenda dated April 8th, 2025?
Yes, sir. Patrick Molina,
Aye.
Martha Barrera,
Aye.
Heather Anderson,
Aye.
and Dottie McKinney. Aye.
All right, our agenda is approved, which brings us right on to the approval of our meeting minutes from March 11th, 2025. I move to approve the meeting minutes from March 11th, 2025. A second, please.
I will second the motion.
Thank you, Miss Dottie. I got to give them a uncustomary quick look. I didn't give them a good study like I typically do, but what I read and saw flowed beautifully. I did see it earlier in the month when Dottie put them up, but I like to look at them the day of or the day before, and I gave them a quick look. But everything looks to be in order from my perspective, all of those bars included. Any other comments from the board with regards to any corrections or a correction of an omission? Very good. I don't hear any other discussion. So, Miss Dottie, would you please conduct a roll call vote to approve our meeting minutes from our regular meeting dated March 11th, 2025?
Yes, sir. Patrick Molina,
Aye.
Martha Barrera,
Aye.
Heather Anderson,
Aye.
and Dottie McKinney. Aye.
All right, our minutes are approved. Thank you so much, everyone. And just like that, we are on item number 5. We can promote Miss Katie Rarick to go over all of our finances. This is the opening of our finance committee meeting. For those of you who are new, we do all of our financial committee meetings in the open, just like this. And we do this every single month. That's one of our best practices. So when Katie gets here, we'll have her share her screen and go over all of the documents, including I think we have 3 bars today. Yep, 3 bars today. And we will get underway.
All right. Hello, everyone. We did get a bar this evening, but I did not have a chance to do it yet, so we'll do it the next meeting. All right, so the first thing to go over is the check register. I don't know if there are any questions on this. Most of these look pretty standard.
Are you sharing your screen? Because I don't see it.
Nope, I'm not sharing my screen. That always helps.
Then you are in your own little world over there, Miss Rarick.
I am. I'm just talking to myself, as I tend to do all day long. Yes, sorry. So here is the check register. I don't know if anyone had any questions or thoughts or anything you'd like me to elaborate on.
No, I was looking for something that we could do one of our mini little procurement audits, but nothing here really looks I mean, what would you say? 85-90% of all of this is regular contractual business. We did Miss Molina last time just because of the last name, but everything else looks
Yeah, they're pretty much the same thing we do over.
pretty, yeah, month to month. Okay.
Mm.
Ooh, Carolina Biological Supply Company for 50. Oh, that's $51. Although $51 is still $51. Is that for like frogs and stuff? Was that
Yeah,
what kind
yeah,
was that
it's
really?
a science curriculum.
Well, let's look at a $51 procurement next month. Let's see
All
what
right.
that process is. We usually pick a higher dollar item, but let's make sure that our processes are tight even when we buy pickled frogs.
All right, we'll put it on
What is
my,
that saying? If you take care of the pennies, the dollars take care of themselves. So yeah, let's look at that little guy.
okay, that sounds good.
Thanks.
And then the bank reconciliation. So we are seeing our essentially bank balance go down, which we knew was going to happen as our SEG payments continue to reduce. We only had $427 outstanding though in payments, which is pretty good. So that really is pretty accurate where we were a little over $1 million. I'm just gonna ask, did they void that one? I'm just gonna ask them to void that one, the City of Albuquerque one, because we haven't gotten any traction on it. And we
Okay.
do need to void it before we get an audit finding. So.
All right. Put that on
Um,
the list.
and then here, we did get, I mean, a lot of transactions, not a lot of money as a whole, but transactions for, like student, for the student fund, whether that's snacks or other merchandise. The 2300 fund is the student fund.
Oh, okay.
And then we are starting to get some of your, we're not get, yeah, next month we will get your lease assistance funds, and so we submitted those. But we are
Great.
starting to get some more of our funding in, like IDB, Title
Yay.
2.
Okay.
And then the last, it's hot off the press and not what we looked at last time. And the reason is because we're still closing Q3 for you all. So Q3 reporting's due this month. And this was the literally earliest you could have a board meeting was today. And so we rushed to make sure that all the financials are right. But now what we need to do is we need to go through and we actually need to balance, move some expenses around between the 1000s and the 3000s to actually balance stuff. So you have a
Okay.
budget of 178, but we need to move your building expenses down here so that the budget remaining is 0. Same thing with 31701. So that is what I was supposed to meet today with someone to do, and then fires kept popping up, so that didn't happen. So we are meeting tomorrow at 8:30 to do it. And after it's done, I'll send it to the board just so you guys can see it and where we are. But that's what we do at Q3, is just to make sure that all expenses are spent by the end of March. As much as
All right.
possible. Yes.
Yep. Standard fare.
Yep. And same thing with these, you can see we have budget authority in the federal funding and the state funding. And so we need to move expenses to match those two.
Okay. Yep. It's spring.
Yeah, a
Everything's
lot of
very
cleaning up, a lot of preparing for the audit.
Yep.
All right. And do you want to move on to the bars, or do you want to vote on those?
I didn't, were you able to do a forecast?
Yeah. I have it's the last thing on the agenda. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Very good.
So I don't know if do you want me to just do everything and then you vote together?
No, can we look at the forecast and then the bars? Typically we vote on the bars separately, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So
All
yeah, let's
right.
take a look at the forecast.
All right, forecast, here we go. So I spent a long time on our forecast to get it as accurate as possible to the penny. And so one of our bars is a decrease in SB9, and it had to do with the carryover decrease from the audit. And also I did decrease the kitchen equipment revenue and expenditures when I did this forecast. I then spoke to Jake, and actually those will be spent this year. So next month, you're going to see the revenue and expenses added back on for your kitchen equipment.
Okay.
But it's a 1-to-1. It doesn't actually impact anything. We did increase 300,000 for insurance. So when you look at how much your insurance, and this is in the packet, your roof expenses have been, which has been about $300,000. And here the vendors we're using, this whole amount should get refunded through insurance to the school. So the expenses were booked, but not the revenue. So I booked the revenue in the forecast.
Okay.
Right now, there's a staff member on Albuquerque's payroll that is shared by the other schools, and there was an MOU that was done. And so we're invoicing those schools to get that revenue for that staff member. It'll be $50,000.
Okay.
And then Ed Fellows, based on our encumbrance report, it looks like we're going to spend the majority of this money. And so I added what we had based on our encumbrance report onto your
Okay.
expense changes. So there were a few rent increases. Sorry, the roof expenses. I did update the rent based on the schedule that we have. It goes up about this time of year. But I also decreased some special ed expenses. And again, the kitchen grant, but that will go up next week.
Okay. Great.
Here's
So
our
cash flow.
flow. We're looking pretty good. And I have a lot of our revenue. You can see this $2 million sitting here in June. Because I don't know when we're going to get it. The state SB9 we might not get till June.
Okay. And that's when we have that double payroll
Yeah.
hit, correct? Yeah.
That's how you pay everybody lots of money. Here's what our cash flow looks like. I don't know, mountain range. I always try to figure out what the picture is for the rest of the year. Here are those roof expenses, just so you guys can see where all the numbers are coming from and when we paid for different parts of it. The other part, based on our conversation last month, there were 3 follow-up questions to the audit. Do we have RFPs out for FY25? I did reach out and ask the CPO. I don't think she got back to me. I can absolutely check my email again. Maybe I missed it. And if I did, I will send that out to the board. Karen, I don't know if you were able to talk to her, because I know you sent some meetings and I don't.
I have not talked to Brittany, but
Okay.
can certainly follow up.
Yeah, if you follow up, I'll follow up too, just to see if there are any RFPs out there right now for FY25. Also, okay, so who were the vendors that we received for the audit finding? It was your food vendor and also for janitorial. And so we've switched how we're doing this. And so I think we're using Shamrock now for our food, and they are a co-op vendor as far as, I'm going to check on that, but I'm pretty sure
I think
that's
we're
true.
using Genuine Food.
Oh, Genuine Food. Sorry, you're right. Genuine. Yeah.
Okay.
But I think we went through CES or ACES to get it. And then, okay. Sorry, go ahead.
Bob and Elliot, was the problem we didn't have an RFP for food?
Where they didn't find the RFP to be valid.
Okay.
And then the last is the accrual for rent. So I think, I don't think we should have gotten this finding. And this is what essentially made us have our negative fund balance, because it's almost $300,000 in rent that they said we hadn't paid. But when you look at our rent schedule of payments, you can see the debits here are the payments and all the payments that we've made for each month. And then you can see how, yes, yeah. And then you can see how there was a returned wire and then we paid it. And then there was a returned wire here. But this is what was paid by that bond operating fund. And that was the backup we gave them and what we told them. And when I got the statement from Wilmington and Trust, they didn't have a balance on it as of June 30th because we paid the June rent 6/1/2024 on 6/12. So in my opinion, we were all caught up. So we are going to, I've already flagged it for them that we're going to revisit this issue at the next audit. So I want an extra $256,000 on our fund balance if we can. So we'll see what they say. Maybe I'm missing something, but I went invoice by invoice by invoice and recorded which month it was for.
Yeah, Aaron's not here, but I think Aaron had mentioned something about perhaps how it was noted or something in accounts.
Yeah, and no, that is right. Was it on the AP listing? And so I asked Victor that, and he said, no, it's that rent was due at the end of June. And I was like, but rent was not due. So I don't know, maybe Victor didn't do our audit. Victor was just over all the audits. Joel did our audit, and Joel's not available right now. He will be available next audit season. So
Okay.
that's why we're going to have that discussion then.
Yeah, I think that's worthy of a discussion for sure. Especially since you've done all this forensic work and everything lines up.
Yeah, and this is what we showed him. We got statements from the bond folks. We got I thought we got everything to clear this up, and then we got the finding, and at that point we had run out of time. So
Okay. Yeah, we can ask Joel.
So the good news is they can correct it in the next audit if they need to. So the next thing is budgeting. You guys will most likely approve your budget in May. I don't think it's going to be beginning of June. Actually, your budget, we're pretty far along on the head count that Jake has pulled together. And also I'm looking at the actuals for this year. I am going to have to go through some of your line items because the roof hopefully won't be in there next year, stuff like that. But we will bring that to you, and we are basing your budget on conservative enrollment. Right now you guys have 1412, so we're going to base your budget on 1450 next year, and that's how we're going to hire.
I like the conservative.
Yeah, me too. Me too. And I think Jake does too.
Yeah, and I think when I just checked in with enrollment, I think they said we're just at about 250 applicants that are in the active process of finalizing their enrollment. So with our I checked our head count, we're at 1312 as a campus, as you mentioned, with 250 some ready. That actually aims for our long-term goal of 1580. We're closing in on that.
Yeah.
Doesn't account for withdrawals at the end of the year, of course, but
Right.
Positive stuff, all good.
And it sounds like we're going to get really, really smoking close to that number, which is what we want. I really don't want to have a riff conversation in a year or 8-9 months.
So I'm just writing down some next steps. So those are the financials, and then if anyone has any questions, if you look at them more closely or have any other questions, let me know. And then the 3 bars.
So let's vote on the reports really quick, and then we'll go right into the bars.
Perfect.
I move to approve the check register, bank reconciliation, and fund balance report for the month ending March 31st, 2025. A second, please.
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Heather. Any other questions that Katie didn't answer with her presentation? This is all looking very customary to me. This is my 3rd or 4th time going through this cycle, so this looks pretty normal for this time of year. But if anybody has a question, please ask. Okay, silence is good. Then, Ms. Dottie, would you please conduct a roll call vote to approve the check register bank reconciliation and fund balance report for the month ending March 31st, 2025?
Yes, sir. Patrick Molina,
Aye.
Martha Pereira,
Aye.
Heather Anderson,
Aye.
and Dottie McKinney, aye.
Thank you all very much. Our financial reports are approved. All right, now, Miss Katie, let's look at some bars. We'll get those voted on.
So we have 3 bars, and then the 4th bar that well, the first bar we'll vote on next time has to do with your in year SEG adjustment, which we know is going to be pretty big. So it's going to be like $1 million plus decrease bar that we'll be approving next time. So that's the one I got at like 4:30 today. So we'll do that one next time, but just prepare yourselves. So this one has to do with the carryover in in HB 33 and from the audit. So it was one of the final ones that had approved from the audit carryover. So we are decreasing our carryover by 217,000. Again, this is baked into the forecast. This one is a slight increase in Title I. It also has to do with carryover and the final allocation from Title I. And then this one is a new, the fund is not new, but the origin of the funding is new. So the PEC did put out something that schools could apply for $10,000 grants, or anywhere between 5 to 10. And so $8,000 was awarded based on the demand. And so different schools got different amounts based on the projects. And so Explorer was awarded $8,000 from the PEC for instructional materials.
And this is specifically, Jake may want to speak to this, but this is specifically for, I think, Smart Pass software and other incentives for the attendance. It's not just for instructional materials, right? Jake, it has a specific project.
Yes, that's correct. It was specifically for Smart Pass and other strategies to help improve attendance. And so I reached out to the principals already about designing an end of year attendance celebration or award or something to that effect. But we actually already have Smart Pass now purchased and being implemented as we speak. So this was the first week Bert's been sending out reminders to teachers to have kids fill in Smart Pass requests. And it's only at our K-5 for grades 4 and 5. It's not kinder through 3rd.
Yeah, so we want to make sure those are marked with the fund source so that it's tracked appropriately. Yeah. And
Yeah, I'll
that we don't
send
earmark
Brittany.
this for something else. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll send Brittany the code for, and Jake, I'll copy you on that.
And then, Jake, so that I don't know how you enter that, but like in our conversations before, Katie, like you'll be putting in the total revenue, but also this expense is not just in instructional materials, right? You're going to have expenses increased of 8,000 so that it offsets it because it's specifically for other things, right?
Yes, yeah. So the expenses went up and the revenue went up, both went up at the same time. So, I mean, it didn't really impact the forecast because yeah.
Cool.
And then Jake, if you can send me or Karen, or if I need to talk to Lisa, I just need like the quotes so that I can send these to Region 9. They can approve them, they can create a PO, and then we can turn around and get everything coded in the report run and then send it to them to get reimbursed.
Okay.
For the PEC project?
Yeah. It's getting funded through Region 9.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll get a hold of Lisa because I think she has all that. The quotes were shared with her, but I'll work with her to get that to you.
Yeah, perfect. Then I just send them off to her. So it's pretty easy. All right. So those are the 3 bars we have today.
Lisa's texting me, chatting with me because she's in the audience and is going to be presenting later, but she said she got the PO. REC 9 already has the PO and she has quotes and she'll send all that to you tonight, Katie.
Oh, Great. Okay, perfect. And then we can just run, once we pay for these things, we can just run the report and submit it. So I'll make sure Brittany has the right code.
Very good. Then I move to approve bars ending in 0029I, 0030D, and 0031I. A second, please.
I'll second.
Thank you so very much. Any questions or discussions with regards to any of those bars, fellow board members? Seeing no motions with regards to any questions or comments. So then we will move to a vote. Ms. Dottie, would you please conduct a roll call vote to approve our budget adjustment requests ending in 0029I, 0030D, and 0031I? You are mute, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Patrick Molina,
Aye.
Martha Barrera,
Aye.
Heather Anderson, did we lose Heather?
I think
Dottie,
we did.
Kenny, aye.
I think we did. We
Like
still
we
have
lost her, so, and she's not in the attendees, so
not
Dottie,
yet,
would you
right.
note that we lost her at 6:03
6:02,
or 6:02?
no,
Sure.
I've got 6:06.
Yep. Yep, that's all right. And if we get her back, we'll bring her. We still have a quorum, so we're good. And my guess is we'll see her pop right back in here.
I'll keep watching.
All right. And the audit follow-up item C on our agenda was already discussed, as was item D during the item A section. So we did indeed cover those. We just went out of order a little bit because it was convenient. All right. Without
So I'll
further
send Katie back to cyberspace, yeah?
yes,
done?
thanks,
Thanks,
Katie.
Katie.
Thanks, y'all. Bye, guys.
Bet. All right. Item number 6, the learning celebration. Let's bring all of those parties up into the panel.
I think it's just Mathena Page and Jake, I assume you'll be introducing
Mhm.
her?
Yeah.
So there she comes. There you go.
Excellent.
Anything, sorry.
Okay. So I am super excited for Ms. Page to join us for this evening. She is obviously one of our elective teachers over at our K-5 school. She's an amazing music teacher. And when I got the personal invitation to attend the spring concert, I did not know what I was in for because I walked in to a room and I was there kind of early, but I think 5:30 when the doors opened, it was like this nonstop rush of parents to come in and we were packed. I mean, those of you who are on the board who've been in that flex room, you know how large that is. We were packed from stage, which is right, it was butted up to the new construction, all the way to cafeteria tables that were almost heading into the B hall at the other end of it. Parents and students, and it was super exciting and such a pleasure to see. So we appreciate all the work that Ms. Page put into that, and I will be done talking so she can jump in and tell you all about it. So thank you, Ms. Page, for being here this evening, and I'll let you take over.
Thank you. Yes, so thank you for that introduction. So I'm Ms. Page. I'm the K-5 music educator at Explore Academy, the lower campus. It's an honor to be invited here to speak today. I'm excited to share with you all like just the amazing things happening in with the music program, from the creativity in our classroom to the incredible concerts that he just mentioned. Karen did briefly tell me I have no more than 10 minutes, and I did prepare just a brief slideshow to give you some visuals because, to be completely honest, it's really easy to brag about these kids. So let me go ahead and share my screen.
You are authorized to brag as much as you wish.
If I can, yeah, I'll just do the entire screen. Can everyone see?
Yes, now we can.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Great. So I just wanted to start with the music classroom so you can get the full visual. Our music classroom is designed to be a safe and creative space where every student feels valued and inspired. So from the drums to the xylophones to the ukuleles and our music technology for our iPads, our classroom is equipped to encourage exploration and creativity in music. Students should feel empowered to express themselves and collaborate in a space where imagination thrives. And one of those ways I do is I provide engaging and unique flavors. So this is featuring kindergarten through third grade. Through hands-on activities, movement, and games, we build strong foundations in music while making learning fun. Music lessons embrace diversity year-round, celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month, Black History Month, Native American Heritage Month, and more. And students take ownership of their learning through dynamic, collaborative, and student-led daily activities. So as in the middle picture, the first grade students are singing Quien es ese gente during Hispanic Heritage Month. And they also learn about Louis Armstrong during Black History Month, and just overall students engage deeply and joyfully while just tying in their daily lives to what they're learning in the music classroom. Flavors for 4th and 5th grade vary quarter by quarter. That's the beauty of Explore, and what really won me over when interviewing is knowing that once they hit 4th and 5th grade, they get more autonomy in their learning and getting to pick what truly interests them. So each quarter introduces a new flavor that expands students' musical abilities and creativity. In quarter 1, I offered Melody Mayhem, and students learned piano basics and explored melody creation. In quarter 2, I offered world music and drumming, and students got to get hands-on learning with drums, maracas, gyros, and more that celebrated global traditions, and we performed at pup rallies. In quarter 3, I offered a music technology flavor, which it's always a fan favorite. I did this one last year. Students get to use the Soundtrap software to compose their own songs, and they get to blend their own unique creativity with technology. And we also presented, some specific students presented their own songs that they made at the pup rally. And then quarter 4 is Strings and Sunshine. That's what we're in right now. And that is ukuleles. So the students are embracing the ukulele, and 5th grade is going to be performing for the 5th grade graduation coming up. They voted for that. I gave them the option and they were all for it. And of course, this leads me to the winter music concert was this past December, and it featured a multicultural hodgepodge of holiday songs, bringing traditions from around the world to our stage. The students poured their creativity and effort into this event, making it festive and an inclusive celebration. And what Mr. Colander witnessed last Friday was the spring music concert. The theme was Disney, the music, the magic. So it was a magical evening that united the community. We had a little under 500 families attend, not counting the students, making this one of the biggest and most anticipated events our campus hosts. That number, I think, doubled from last year. And I was able to do that just by word of mouth. I made I graphic designed flyers. I sent those out. I made sure that the information was included in the Wolf Pup post. I sent emails to parents and the teachers, and I really just posted on the PTO page. I think that just being able to push out that information and send reminders to families really got the full support. The concert highlighted our students' incredible skills and passion and dedication, making it a truly memorable night for everyone that came. And before I wrap up, I did also want to share something I'm especially proud of. My monthly music newsletter, it's called The Music Scoop. And I will show that with you. So this is the March 2025 one. I share it in the school's Wolf Pup post, and it gives families an inside look at all the exciting things happening in music class. I've created one every single month this school year, and it's a fantastic way to just connect with families directly and let them see what their child is learning. And it also allows me to celebrate our students of the month and share important dates. So I always pick students of the month, I include pictures and just descriptions of what the kids are doing. I'm also able to add important dates at the bottom. And of course, this was the Disney, the Music, the Magic poster that was included.
I don't mean to interrupt, but Heather Anderson is back. If you would note that for the agenda.
Well, I'm all wrapped up. I just really wanted to say thank you for supporting our music program. Together, we're building a foundation of creativity, community, and lifelong learning for our students. And I'm very honored to be able to share a little snippet of it today. So thank you.
Thrilled to have you here and present. That was absolutely fantastic. That was brilliant. I'm sorry I missed the concert. That was my bad.
You'll have to come next time.
I'll be there. That was great. Fellow board members, any comments or questions for Ms. Page?
Patrick, I would just like to thank you, Miss Page. What a beautiful program. What a beautiful soul you are. And I would love to read your newsletters. And if you can share with us, it'd be great.
Absolutely. It was always hard for me this year because even for the teachers, I didn't want to like bombard them. So I always said, if you want it, let me know and I'll send it to you. But I don't want an influx of information if you don't want it. So I will happily send you the newsletter for the rest of the year.
My email is the board email that you'll find on the website.
Okay, that's perfect.
I won't give you my personal. We'll just do I would love to because you're such a beautiful person.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
You are a doll. Thank you.
Did you by any chance bring in bagpipes for St. Patrick's Day?
No, but fun fact, the kindergartners are learning about the different instrument families, and we did instrument family charades, and they had to pretend to play an instrument. And then we also did, I tricked them by bringing in like a not a real one, but just a listening for the bagpipe. And they went, "What's that? We haven't learned that." And I said, "Haha, you're right, we haven't." But hey, if you know a bagpipe player, you let me know and I'll happily bring them in.
Absolutely. Well, very, very good. I only know a saxophone player and he's really, really rusty.
Is that you?
But that would be me.
Oh, I was like, wait, who's rusty? It's okay. I know a trumpet player who's also equally rusty.
That would be you?
Yes.
I just want to say, if board members, if you're ever at the school, swing by her classroom. She did a great job showing you many pictures, but it really is, I don't know if you remember Miss Page, but I was there at the school and I was like, tell me about this classroom. Tell me about your music program. I'm very impressed with a very robust music program for elementary school, and you don't always see that. So thank you.
Yeah, that was great. So are the risers in the classroom for like choir? Do you have like a little choir action going on, or?
So no, yes. Yes, there are, and there's actually 4 of them, the blue ones tucked against the wall. We were able to use that with the fine art grant money last year with the performance budget that we had. It's amazing because you can flip them up. I flip them every day and they can roll. And so I can roll them into the flex space for pep rallies for performances, but the older kids actually sit on them during class. Because we wanted an option for, because they actually also, they're called like Wenger flip forms if you like just look them up. And I loved the different flexible seating options. So I can even lay them flat and put messy mats on them for the little kids. The older kids can sit on them during class. We can perform on them. It was just so much more useful than just putting tables that were just stuck there. So it was definitely thankful that we were able to purchase them.
Fantastic. Well, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much for taking time out of your evening to present to us. Karen probably gets tired of me saying this, but this is why I come to these meetings. This is it. Everything else is academic. This is why I come. This is the paycheck right here. So thank you so very much. Fellow board members, any parting comments before we cut Ms. Page loose for the evening?
All right. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Okay. Have a good night.
All right. Yay. Paycheck. Moving on to item number 7 in our agenda is Mr. Jake Colander. Jake, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you. And I will say that having attended came with a hurried text message saying, I think we need to order some racks of chairs because we ended up having to rent chairs for the space. And it was part of it was a convenience factor of, having a company that could bring them, we could set them up and take them down pretty quickly. But it was evident, and in speaking with Richard, he's like, yeah, we're probably at the place where we need to start looking at some rolling racks of folding chairs and instead of getting those ready. So that was, it was a great night. It was super cool to see that many families show up and very supportive. And they ended. She didn't talk about, when it ended, just the noise in the room because all of the different grade levels kind of joined in and pair because we did a sing along, and it was super neat. So I was very happy. I was glad she was able to attend this evening. Very good. So my school leader report, I believe Ms. Black is still in our participant list. So I'm actually going to start with that gym with the facilities and the gym announcement. The quick one, of course, is the fencing at the K5 is up, which I was very happy to see. That was the fencing on the southeast side of the facility that allows the campus now to be fully secure from anyone being able to enter the playground area. That was something that we had worked on to get that up and done. So in terms of the gym, I did reach out. There have been ongoing discussions, back and forth about getting together for the mediation component, which is where essentially they lay out what the findings of the investigation were and discuss that. That has been on delay after delay in terms of getting it to happen, because this is the point at which lawyers are having to come together and put a schedule on where they can meet and hash this out. So I did have a parent reach out this morning saying, is there any update to the gym? Hoping that it will be ready to go by August. It will not be ready to go by August. So sorry to say that. It looks like mid-September is their new projected date. But to maybe answer some of the questions that Ms. Black brought up in the beginning, one thing that the school did right away once that collapsed is we said we can no longer rely on essentially outside engineers to be doing some of that work. So the Greaves Chavez, if you looked closely at some of those budget items that we went through during that component of tonight's meeting, you'll have seen some payouts to the Greaves Chavez. It's an engineering firm that the school hired privately to oversee the work moving forward, so that their responsibility was to engage in the investigation process. It was also, and I think even more importantly, besides that, is to engage in the oversight of the reconstruction component of the progress. So there was there was a different architectural firm that have stepped in. Drawings have been recompleted. Something that was made evident early on that some people just don't know is that when the gym was originally planned and designed, that was in 2020. We were in the throes of limited access to construction materials due to COVID. And so the design was formed around construction materials that I don't think would traditionally have been brought in, but at the time they were like, this is what is available for us to be able to use to build it. Being that obviously did not work, the redesign is not intended to continue. It's not essentially take the old drawings and do it again and hope it works this time. It's a completely refreshed look of it. So different design, different engineers working on it, different construction materials being used for it. The question is, are we using the same builders? So AIC was brought in. We are using AIC. And again, we haven't done the arbitration for it. So there is some of this, of course, that is off limits to be able to share. But I think at the end of the day, the things that we have discovered, the redesign, the redrawings, the different materials that we're using, and having our own engineer that the school has paid to come in, and that engineering firm has had their finger on everything along the way to make sure that there is essentially this, it's a third party, but they are functioning on behalf of the school. I'm not an engineer. Mr. Morlina is much more math oriented than I am, but he's not an engineer. We're not engineers, right? And so as a school, as an institution, we are relying on the professionals that we hire and bring in to sort of look through that and make those decisions. But the decision was made right away after the roof collapsed that we need our own person that's on our side and that is working on behalf of the school, not on behalf of the construction company or on behalf of the original engineering firm or behalf of the architects. It's our person that oversees it. And Mr. Greaves has been absolutely amazing and has been there every step of the way. And so all of those things, I'm hoping will reassure parents that The project, I think, as mentioned earlier, the project is delayed. That is a fact, and that's a reality that disappoints us. But we are not intending to rush to a completed project at the expense of ensuring that all the steps are followed appropriately. And we invested quite a bit to ensure that that is done differently this time. And I think I can echo the sentiment that Ms. Black echoed. Actually, I recall when that gym roof collapsed. It was on a Sunday, and I think at 10 o'clock at night on a Sunday, you saw a group of grown men in basketball shorts and T-shirts who had rushed over to the building, standing in a half circle. Most of us in tears, all of us going, "Oh my God!" Like there's the mixed blessing of the fact that it collapsed, which was terrible, but that it did so on a Sunday night when the facility was completely empty. We were sort of like, there was a degree to which it affected all of us that way that Ms. Black described. Everybody was hit hard by what happened because our brains went to what ifs, which was a dangerous place to go for school administrators when something tragic happens. And in this case, tragedy was averted. It cost us money, but that's it in the end. And that's, to me, the best possible resolution to that event. So following that, when Greaves Chavez, when their firm was brought in, they were there alongside of us when we addressed the parents. We had a parent forum immediately following, and they sort of talked through, this is the role that we will play as a part of that. And they have been playing it all along. They will be accompanying as part of that arbitration process. And at this point, drawings are ready to go. So essentially we are waiting, because once that happens, once that mediation happens, sort of culpability at that point is established. Insurance companies begin issuing money to not only reimburse the school for the cost of the engineering firm, but also for the cost of the construction. And we can get the green light from the city to start rebuilding. But that looks like rebuild will probably not happen until the start of the summer, because the arbitration that was supposed to be in February was moved to March. The March one was moved to now in May. So that's the process we're at with the gym. I hope, Ms. Black, I know they couldn't directly address your questions as a part of as part of your statement, but I hope that at least answers some of those. You are always welcome to email me if you'd like just some more clarification on it. The caveat, of course, being that a lot of this is attorney driven, and so they will limit the kinds of things that we're able to say. And so parents, out of course, concern and interest, want to know what happened. And that is largely guided by what can be disclosed by the law firms, and that's part of that negotiation that they make with those organizations. But if you have further questions, Black, you're welcome to email me. You're welcome to email the board, because we talk pretty frequently. But those are the steps that we've taken, and I hope that clarifies. We're using AIC, but no one else involved, as far as I know, is actually the same organization, and we have the addition of our own outside engineering firm overseeing it. So that's facilities at this point. I know that the kitchen construction is supposed to happen and supposed to finalize in the next couple of weeks. We've been in some conversations, so I'm asking our food service director to do some homework on it, because they are looking at ways in which the kitchen, once it is done and ready to go, again, it's something that Explore Academy will benefit from, but other schools sometimes utilize their kitchen to provide food service for other charters that don't have the kind of facility space or the money to get a kitchen put in. My concern behind any of that, of course, is what would the MOU look like in terms of being able to ensure that anyone wanting or interested in having their lunches cooked out of our kitchen would have an expense not only to reimburse us for meals, but also to pay in to the wear and tear on equipment that we've got. But that's something that she's very much interested in, because that project should be finished, wrapping up pretty soon, so that we can get the kitchen open. I was at Cottonwood Classical today for a meeting and happened to notice that they have a kitchen, and I don't know if they have a similar process where they utilize their kitchen to help out some other schools, but we have some neighboring ones that we might be able to make some agreements with that could expand what not only the kitchen is doing, but also sort of the school being able to draw in some revenue as a result. So as an example that was shared with me by Ms. Lovelady is that I'm going to round these numbers because I don't remember the exact penny, which she did. Something to the effect of Genuine charges us $3.50 to create a lunch per kid. We are reimbursed by the state at a rate of like $4.15. So we're making about 65 cents per meal per day. And so there is some revenue being generated in that sense. And she said there's some potential there. If there's a school that has 120 kids and they need food service and just don't have the money and the space size to afford a kitchen, that's a way that we could draw some revenue in. So that's my facilities announcement. In terms of staffing, I think that what has gone out, but of course I think just needs to be addressed here, is our K-5 principal. Dr. Valdez has worked very hard at our school. I don't take anything away from that, but at the end of the day, we've decided to move forward with a different administrator at the K-5 campus. And so we are going to be in the process of hiring. And so once that process is completed, we will of course invite that principal to join us for a board meeting so you all can meet that individual. The anticipation, of course, is that Dr. Valdez will finish out the year. She was instrumental in helping to ensure that the spring concert, as an example, went off without a hitch. She was the one who jumped right in and said, well, let me make sure we get chairs reserved so that the facility can be utilized. And so our anticipation is that she'll be completing her contract and helping to close out and maybe even provide a little bit of time for some transition for a new principal taking over. But that process is starting this week. For those of you who may recall, when we hired the K-5 principal, we changed sort of the process of what that looks like to involve a committee, which involved parents and community members and administrators and teachers. And so there was a group that were all involved in doing that process, both from the resume review point to being audience members within the interview, so that we could get stakeholder feedback from parents and staff as a part of the process, as opposed to waiting until the administration had done their part and then doing a separate stakeholder round. We felt that was a little bit clunky, time consuming to coordinate. And our intent, of course, is to get a principal hired sooner rather than later so that some of that transition process can begin happening. We also, which I forgot to put in the notes, as you guys had seen, there are some decisions being made about the fact that we are below that bond covenant level. And I asked essentially permission. I said, I would like to bring on an additional staff member to our special ed team, but I would like them to start now. And so we talked to Katie about making that happen. So we are making an offer for one of our applicants to begin right away. And in addition, we have hired an office manager that will oversee both campuses. This was not an internal applicant. So we are also going to ask for some money based on that contract amount to provide some onboarding in May so that all the pieces can start to fit. As some of you know, Ms. Dyer, who's our scheduler, is going to be moving to become a logistics manager, which means we need to hire a scheduler, which is Emily Doherty, who is an internal applicant. But that also means we're sort of shifting people around. And finally, we do have a new assistant principal at the 612 campus that she was offered and accepted the position. Ms. Candace Lemons will be joining. So our Galton campus will have a principal and 2 assistant principals moving into next school year. Enrollment, as I mentioned, is strong. We're doing a lot to sort of keep our finger on what the enrollment numbers look like. I think the systems we've put in place in the last calendar year have created a much more transparent and thorough process to ensure that kids that are intending to enroll with us have a very short deadline to get enrollment paperwork turned in, so that once we see it's been a week, they're not engaging with that process, then we've made decisions within that enrollment process that if it's been a week, we haven't heard from you, you've essentially relinquished your spot and we're moving to the next person who's on the wait list. And that process is rolling really well. I spoke to Leticia Praga, who worked with us on enrollment, and she said that right now things are clicking, phone calls are being made, and we're hoping that the combination of that with a little bit more rigorous intent to return process will help us to have a much more solid number once we begin in July with students. Plan for funding for the rest of the year. I think I mentioned special ed and office manager. Newsella is up and running. Our staff had a training 2 Fridays ago with their particular team. The reason this seemed to keep coming up, because some people may wonder, well, why does this seem to keep coming up, is our school, I think, does, as you all know from a couple of years ago, when I stepped in as principal, I told the staff that I don't want us to be a post-COVID school any longer. I said it is time for us to go back to things that involved academic rigor the way that we were prior to COVID. That was a steep climb. And I know that there were some staff that have felt frustrated and at times overworked and burned out, like many of us have. But the fruits of their labor are coming out. The fact that we were, one of the top 5 in city for charters, the fact that we continue to be a spotlight school, that we're continue to outperform on PSATs and test results indicate that the work we put in is paying off. And so at this point, what we're really doing is just trying to spot little gaps in the instruction where some time and investment in training can help us close some of the achievement gaps. And that was the purpose behind some of the investing in Newsela this year. It's really a literacy tool, and literacy was a place amongst our ELL students as well as our special ed population where there was evidence we could be doing better. So let's invest in a tool. It was a touch pricey, but the intent was to say this, this organization has a lot of time, experience, and staff behind it. So the support they have provided has been phenomenal. I've worked with one of their representatives, Emily Keys. I feel like it's been since August was our first meeting. It's April. We're still chatting with each other as we roll this out to make sure that the user experience for the teachers and the students is optimized and working well. We will have an additional training for our K-5 staff. The one that we got for our 6-12 staff was recorded, but of course, much more geared towards those higher levels of literacy. Whereas at the K-5, it's more introduction to literacy that we're going to be seeing down there. So it's a little bit of a different setup on that training. So all in all, our Q3 survey results have come back strong. I think I can safely say our parents are happy at our school. We never hit 100% on that, but every time, I think you all know how sometimes that works. We send out a survey. We say, please tell us the good, the bad, and the ugly, and we'll get 15 survey results that are pretty tough. But and if a school with a population of 1,300 students to have 15 people say, I'm dissatisfied with this, that, or the other thing is actually pretty good in terms of a ratio of those who either are choosing not to comment or left positive comments. I think all is a great sign. So I feel like our Q3 closed out really well. We are excited for Q4 and new visions. We're constantly talking about new visions of things. I'm sorry, I'm kind of going on right now. I apologize. I feel like I haven't taken a breath, but trying to get through the agenda. Explore Horizons, as you guys know, we've sort of taken off with that. Today we sent out the Explore Horizons travel information to all the parents. I will forward that on to Mr. Molina so he can take a look at that document. But essentially, we have tackled those three things as ways in which we are continuing to grow, improve, and innovate. We brought in Girl Scouts. That has finally been finalized for the K-5s to have an after-school program for girls being introduced into Girl Scouts. Our American Exchange project is off and running with Karen Cassidy. The K-5 campus has wanted to work on a library project, and a little financial rug was pulled out from under my feet because I thought we had some money set aside for library funds. Katie let me know this morning that money was pulled back by the auditor. However, there is some other money that we can be using, but our Dean of Students, Julie Hills, former librarian, and is really excited to start an actual physical library on campus. We've gotten quotes for the library, just the shelving for it, quotes for scanners and implementing a scanning system to check books out to kids. We will start the process of essentially a call for all of those of us whose children are not so little anymore, but still have little children books around the house to begin donations and purchases to populate that library. But I also told them, I want you to think innovative. Think about what we can be doing on that Explore Horizons avenue for K-5 kids. And maybe there is something in the field of literacy leaders, library projects, things where those students can also have those out of the classroom experiences that help promote education and learning, but gives them a different route for something that they themselves find that they're interested in. So both Lori Adams and Julie Hill at the K-5, I talked to them about that yesterday. So they're getting creative with how we can include Explore Horizons down at the K-5 level. And more to come. I don't want to say too much about other things where we've got some irons in the fire to see what we can figure out, but always looking to find ways that Explore Academy can continue to grow, be innovative amongst charter schools, and draw families and parents into a place where they see that we take education seriously. Our staff are phenomenal, and we are always looking for ways to improve what their kids get to experience. And that is my report.
Bravo. Excellent. Excellent. Thank you very much. Fellow board members, any questions, comments for Mr. Colander? That was well done. You can take a breath now.
Mr. Colander, I just want to say thank you for all the work you're doing.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate that.
Crazy. Crazy. Thanks for that update on the gym. I'm glad it was on the agenda, and it looks like maybe Miss Black got what she needed because she left the attendees panel. And you might get a follow-up message from her as well. But
Sure.
I think what we did that weekend about getting our own engineering firm on board was even smarter than I thought at the time. I mean, I knew we wanted somebody independent, but then to carry them through the whole process has been rather beneficial for that entire project. So that was a good call. It was a really good call. All right, Mr. Colander, thank you very much. Miss
Thank you.
Warner, you've got the general updates and reminders.
Yeah, and this will be really quick, but first is the preliminary ratings are outlined here on this handout. I assume you're seeing this very colorful document. Are you? Can't tell. Are you seeing the ratings?
Yes, we're seeing it. Sorry.
Okay, thank you. So the
Yes.
final ratings will look like this here on your final annual report. Exceed is only available for mission goals, but you see how it works. And then the preliminary ratings are what comes out after the site visit. And generally speaking, almost all of them get this more data needed, no issues identified, which basically means we're waiting to the end of the year to see if we get any complaints about you. So if anything from any of the other bureaus and any of the indicators is reported, that will be what they use to determine the final ratings. So for after the site visit, the document, I know this is, I tried to zoom in a little bit, but you can see if I go down the ratings column, they did actually say that you have a meet standard in your mission and education program and a meet standard in equitable enrollment policies. And the rest are all that more data needed, no issues identified. So not very helpful, but at this point, but just is useful in terms of re-familiarizing yourself with the performance indicators and how you can meet those or working to meet or does not meet. Kind of a good little document. They're both of these are this rating sheet and this preliminary report are linked on your agenda. So you can take some time if you'd like to zoom in and review what those are. But we will, of course, provide the final report once we have the actual ratings. Just wanted to know where we stand. Any questions on that for me?
Nope. Nope.
I do think it's a good exercise for board members to review those indicators and some of how they're rated, just to be familiar with what they're looking for. But not something we need to spend time on today unless you want to.
No.
So then I'll move to the next one. I did put this on the agenda just because I wanted to give you a heads up. There have been a few folks who have been not renewed for next year at the school, and a couple of them have asked to make statements to the governing board. So I think that will be at a future board meeting, but just wanted to give you a heads up that that might be coming where they'll want to make some statements. Now, all of the non-renewals are people who have not been with the school more than what is considered, I guess, tenured, for lack of a better word. So they don't really get an appeal process, but they are asking to make statements to the governing board, and I think that you'd want to honor that. So I just wanted to share that with you and let you know that, as it turns out, I think the easiest thing to do would be to add it on in a closed session at the next meeting agenda. And that was all, just to let you know that that might be coming.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you for the heads up. Very good. Thank you for that report out. I think we're on item number 8, which is Miss Lisa Hughes.
Yes, and I'm going to promote Lisa and also Melissa Hernandez. Melissa has a small piece of this in that she works with the Title III funds. So she's here also in case there are questions that she can help answer. So I'm going to put her on the panel just in case as well, if that's okay. Sure. Okay.
Yes, please.
So Lisa, take it away.
Perfect. Good evening, board members. It's an honor to be here tonight to talk to you instead about transportation, grants this time. So not about transportation. We're going to talk about grants this time. And I'm excited to share with you that Explore Academy is part of a pilot program this year. New Mexico PED is moving to a unified application for all of its federal programs. Typically in the past, each application with its own application in SharePoint, you had to do your assurances for each application, you had to do your narratives for each application, and it was all individualized in SharePoint. Many states and education agencies have already moved to a unified application, and so this year is a pilot program for New Mexico PED. 47 districts and charter schools across the state are part of that pilot program, including Albuquerque. So starting back in November of last year, I started attending weekly webinars in terms of what that's going to look like as far as us submitting our unified application. And this is for IDEA, Title I, Title II, Title III, and Title IV. They're all in one place. We are in the last phases of getting everything entered for our applications for the next school year. The application for the title grants is due April 16th. The application for the IDEA EAB portion of the unified application is held up a little bit. We're still waiting for finalized preliminary awards in that area, but that'll be due about a couple weeks after the unified application for the title grants is completed, but it's all in one unified application. So it has been a pleasure to be part of this pilot and to work on, putting these grant applications together for the support of our school. So just as an overview for you all, what we are putting in and what these monies go to support the students and staff at our school. For IDEAB, that's really related to special education and related services. That generally funds salaries for approximately 3 special education teachers. And again, New Mexico PED is still finalizing the preliminary awards for IDEAB. So I do not have a preliminary amount for you yet. They were hoping to have that to us this week. They do not have that to us this week. So they're waiting for word from their departments for us to get updated on that. The component of the IDEAB application also includes a special education parent handbook and a documentation of parent meetings, which is part of our IDEAB application. Karen has linked those in the agenda as well as in this document here, just for your awareness that this is part of the application, and it's our ability to work in collaboration with parents as part of our IDEAB. Title I funding, that supports, it's funding to schools with high percentages of children from low income families, and it helps us meet challenging state academic standards. We did get an increase from FY25. The preliminary amount is there on the screen. We do use that for salaries and benefits for our level 3 educational assistants. It is a statute for Title I that any money funding those educational assistants, they do have to be level 3 for Title I. And it's to support students to help them meet their academic needs. There is also a homeless set aside as part of Title 1A, which we've set aside to buy uniform shirts and a Chromebook for any student who's unable to purchase that. Title 2A, that's there for us to improve teacher and educator quality and effectiveness. That does fund a partial salary of an instructional coach, and it was an increase from FY25. So the preliminary amount is there as well. The reason I'm saying preliminary amounts is they're typically only a portion of the final award, as it's considered a planning award. So the state is planning on the funds that we will get. They typically sometimes go up, sometimes they go down, but the state education agency does have to wait for the final awards so they can calculate an estimate as the planning award. For Title III, that's for our English learner and immigrant students to help meet those state academic standards. They're used to improve our ELD programs for our ELs by identifying and acquiring and upgrading curriculum, instructional materials, educational software and technology, and assessment procedures to improve the content and language acquisition. This was a slight decrease from last year, and again, that could be due to enrollment, who's qualifying under Title III as English language learners. And if you have questions about that, Melissa Hernandez is here as well. And then Title IV, it's used to support academic achievement in 3 areas: well-rounded education, safe and healthy schools, utilizing technology to provide high-quality learning experiences for underserved students. And we do use that as a partial salary for an educational assistant to support academic success in tutoring and supporting the students to meet their academic goals. And that preliminary award is an increase from FY25. And then I did just let you know that we are part of that pilot program, and we are in the final inputting stage, and ours will be submitted prior to the deadline. So that is an overview of our federal grants that we are currently working on, and I will stand for questions.
Thank you, Ms. Lisa. Fellow board members, any questions? I do have a question. So this is federal monies, but it has to be funneled through the state, correct? Is that how that works? Is
Correct.
that? Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
And so we get planning awards and then we get the final awards. And so that's why they're only letting us plan off of the preliminary award, because they'd rather have us plan for less and then get more versus plan for more and then they have to take it away.
Okay.
And that explains why some of your adjustments have to be made during the year between when we plan for award and then we actually get the award. It may be more and we have an increased bar or something like that. But I do think that the ask today, besides any questions you have for Lisa, I think, Lisa, correct me if I'm wrong, that our ask from staff is to have an approval to submit these as you've described and to give authority for Mr. Molina to sign once the signature pages are ready. So particularly the IDAB and the Title III, I know are going to require, but if you wouldn't mind approving as presented this applications and then which would allow Mr. Molina to sign them when the signature pages are ready from PED.
Yes, they have not released the signature pages. Like I said, we are in that pilot program, and that's one thing that they have not released yet. But we do have to put a board date on the agenda of when this information was presented to you, including the special education parent handbook and the parent meetings, and that we are going to submit these to the states for approval. It does go through a revision process. So if they have any questions on our application, they don't just deny it. They tell us the feedback. We go back in and fix it. And there is that revision process so that we can continue to give them what they need to meet the federal guidelines if there's anything we're missing.
So Lisa, do you need an actual approval at this board meeting or just evidence that it was presented?
I think an approval would be good just so that we know that we have had it, that we've presented it, and that they're going to sign off on it when those signature pages are available.
Okay.
All right. Well, then I do have a question, but let me bring it up for a motion so that we can open it for discussion. I move to approve the federal grants as proposed for IDEA-B, Title 1A, Title 2A, Title 3A, and Title 4A. A second, please.
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Heather. Opening it for discussion, I got to open up the parent handbook. It looks to me like it is a standalone document. It is not a supplemental document to the general parent handbook. Is that a safe assumption? Like this is its standalone
Right.
document? Okay.
That is
It's
correct.
specifically. Oh, go ahead, Lisa. Sorry.
That's okay. That it's specifically for special education parents, and it specifically talks about policies and procedures for students receiving special education services. So yes, your assumption that it is a standalone document, it encompasses our policies and procedures around special education is correct.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's fantastic because my fear was if it was a supplemental document, now parents are trying to figure out which elements of each one would apply to them, where this is very carefully crafted for those students and their families. I really, really like that. So
And it is
nice.
part of the federal grant program that we have to have. You have to have policies and procedures and a handbook in place for IDEA-B in order to ensure that you're meeting all policies and regulations.
And I just want to give a little bit of a shout out to Danielle Nee, who's our director of special ed, who makes sure that that covers all the statutory requirements. And she also helps make sure the school stays in compliance. So another person from our team, director that's not here tonight, but helps to make sure the school is staying in compliance and
That's
following those
fantastic.
requirements.
Yeah, I think those parents would really appreciate the fact that they have a customized single source of truth for their students who have needs that could be significantly different than the rest of the school population, and that we've taken the time and the attention to detail to make sure that those students are handled, treated, educated to fit their specific needs. And I think that's fantastic. So that's my only comment.
Chair
Any,
Molina, members of the board, if I may, I just want you to know with Title III, the money will not come directly to Explore Academy. Being that we did not meet the $10,000 threshold, we do have to join a consortium so that we can still qualify to accept Title III funds. And while it is sad to see a decrease in funding, we do want to celebrate the success. The reason for the decrease is we did have students exit EL status last school year, which reduced the amount of English learners that we currently have. So yes, it's sad to lose money, but it's also something to celebrate that we have our English learner students that are actually exiting program, because it's very hard for students to meet that 4.7. So I'm very proud of our staff that has really taken the initiative to support our English learners and modify instructions to make sure that we're really doing everything with intention to best support them.
perfect. Yeah, my frustration with the whole funding piece is so much of it is in arrears. So it's almost like you get punished for doing well. And I get it, but it's kind of frustrating because they're always looking a year behind as opposed to forward. So we might see a decrease, but the demand may actually increase with a new student body coming in the next fiscal school year, but the funds don't match until it catches up. And so we'll do our best with what we have, but congratulations on graduating students out of that program so that they are much more successful in the learning environment that we have here in the United States by reducing that language gap and barrier. So that's outstanding. Any other comments or discussion from the board members?
Yes, Patrick and Ms. Hughes and Ms. Hernandez, I just want to acknowledge and thank you for all your hard work. This is tremendous. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's all for the school and the students, and that's why we do what we do, so that our students can have a great place to learn and our teachers can have a great place to teach.
Yep, absolutely. And that's critical. Okay. Any further discussion before we bring it up for a vote, fellow board members? All right, Miss Dottie, would you please conduct a roll call vote to approve the federal grants and their applications for IDEA-B, Title 1A, Title 2A, Title 3A, and Title 4A?
I apologize. Who seconded the motion?
Dottie, I did. Heather Anderson.
Heather did, yeah.
Heather, I apologize. I didn't hear you.
That's okay. No problem.
Patrick Molina,
Aye.
Martha Barrera,
Aye.
Heather Anderson,
Aye.
and Dottie McKinney. Aye.
All right. Let it be said, let it be done. Miss Lisa, you have it as part of our minutes so that you can show whomever needs to be shown that it was not only presented to the board, but that the board actually approved it. So
Wonderful.
excellent.
Thank you so much.
You are
Thank
so
you.
very welcome.
Thank you,
All right.
ladies.
Yes, thank you so much for taking time out of your evening. We know it's you work a very long day already, and for you to show up and do this is greatly appreciated. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great evening.
Thanks, Lisa. Always good to see you. All right, board comments on anything, everybody, wide open, and I'll go last.
No.
Going once. Oh, Martha.
Martha has her hand up. Yep.
So is this
Yes.
comments, or can I ask questions, or are we?
Yeah, we can. This is open board comments, an opportunity for comments, announcements, updates, future
So
agenda items.
Oh, go
And you
ahead.
can ask questions, but we can't make any formal decisions on anything because it wasn't listed.
Okay, that's fine.
Correct.
I just wanted to, just kind of looking ahead at the calendar, if we could talk about or address the things that we have to have done in June, and we can address those in May, like the evaluation. I just feel like each year we're like scrambling in June to get all that done. So I just want to not get there. So
Yep.
if in May, if we can at least address it for the new members. Sorry.
Absolutely. And I know some of that is our review for the head administrator, for our director of operations, and our self-evaluation. And I
Correct.
took a note and sent myself a message to make sure I get all of that to you all earlier, sooner than later. So thank you, Martha. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We were both on the same wavelength. Beautiful. Anyone else? All right. For those of you who, oh, she's gone. We had somebody in our attendees named Christine Reyes. She is the co-chair for Explore Academy in Las Cruces, and she hung out here for quite a while tonight. I don't know what she thought, but we'll see. So I just want to let you know that's who that was. And she did not stick around for any comment of any sort that I can see. And we put Lisa and Melissa back into the attendees section. So again, ladies, if you can hear me, thank you so much for coming tonight. My only comment is, once again, as always, thank you all so very much for your continued dedication, brain power, and energy that you put toward this very, in my humble opinion, highly functional board and attentive board. It is a treat and a privilege, truly a privilege to serve along with each and every one of you. And coming up in June will be elections for everybody. So start your nomination thoughts. And that's all I've got for board comments today. And the music thing was awesome. I'm sorry I missed the concert. I'm not happy with me, but that's all right. I won't miss the next one. All right, everybody. So that's board comments. We will move into section 10, public comment. And as I look at the attendees, I don't see any public, although Lisa, Melissa, you are certainly part of the public, and you are welcome to raise your hand and come on and make any comments on items not on our agenda this evening, if you would like. Going once, going twice. All right. Very good. Ladies and gentlemen, it is 6:58, and I'm going to bring this meeting to a close. I can't remember the last time we finished one before 7 o'clock, but I will adjourn this meeting at 6:58 p.m. Our next meeting is Tuesday, May 13th at 5:30, same bat time, same bat channel. Again, thank you all so very, very much. And I have to stay after school. So everybody, you are welcome to enjoy the evening with the rest of your families. Thank you very